up, everybody? I am Brandy Harvey. I'm so excited you decided to join us for this month's Vault Empowers Talks. You know, we cover 5 pillars, and this month is no different. We'll be talking about personal development. I'm excited to have the conversation with none other than author, pastor, speaker, teacher, leader, Dr. Dharius Daniels. So if you guys are ready, I need you to do one thing. I need you to go ahead, hit that subscribe button, go ahead and like, comment, and join the Vault Village. Don't miss anything that we have coming up. Turn on those notifications so you are ready to get a good message to inspire and empower your life. Y'all, I want you to write some comments in the chat because this month we are giving away a signed copy of Dr. Dharius Daniels' book, Your Purpose is Calling. But we're gonna get into this book today because we got some behind the scenes on that one, all right? So if you are ready to get started, I'm ready too. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Dharius Daniels, I gotta go ahead and say author, speaker, certified emotional intelligent specialist. Okay, I ain't never heard nobody call themselves that, but you are the first. Listen, you are the lead pastor of the multi-site, multi-regional Change Church. You're a professor at Princeton University. You're the founder and coach of Daniel's Den and Bible U, where you help people understand, interpret, and explain the Bible better. You are on a mission to help as many people as possible become their best selves while doing their best work. Vault Empowers, welcome to the show, Dr. Dharius Daniels.
Listen, that's quite an intro. Whoever wrote that, I need to give them something.
You know what? I had just went and got all the stuff that they had said about you on the internet.
I was like, wow.
That's you.
Listen,
that is you.
I'm so excited to be here. I know we've been trying to make it work for a while, and I've been looking forward to it.
Yes.
I know it's gonna be a great conversation.
Listen, you're a busy man, but you are a purposeful man, and so I understand that. So that part, we don't worry, it worked out, and this is where you're supposed to be today.
We're here, right?
Listen, right now. So we got a short amount of time on the clock with you because you got to get to your next thing. But I want to start, take me back to your small town in Mississippi. 700 residents lived in your town.
Yeah, it's actually less than 500 now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I grew up in a small town in Mississippi called Kilmichael, Mississippi.
Kilmichael,
that was the name of the town. And I think when I grew up, it was like under 800 people there. Now, this is no exaggeration, right, Brandon? This is no exaggeration at all. 1 full-time police officer.
Wow.
1 part-time police officer. So 1 guy did the day shift.
Wow.
Another guy did the night shift. Now, in the day he drove the school bus because he would pick me up and drop me off at school. He lived on my street. So it was 1 full-time police officer, 1 part-time police officer, no stoplights.
Wow.
And 1 doctor and 1 nurse. So it's like, and you know where the doctor lived. So like if you go to the clinic and he's not there, you just pull up at the house. It was literally
like
a small
Mayberry.
town like that. Almost.
It was
almost
up in Mayberry.
It was just more diverse. It was literally like when you think about Mayberry, it was like that. 33 people in my high school graduating class.
Wow.
That's where I grew up.
I had more people in my high school graduating class than live in your town. 545 people graduated in my high school class.
Yeah.
So your father taught you a very powerful lesson while living in that small town. He said that your enlightenment, not your environment, determines your outcome. So you initially went to law school. This was not your original outcome.
Yeah, I was going to law school. Until the second semester of my senior year of college. That's when I pivoted. But it's the weirdest thing because I grew up in this really small town. But my dad, I don't know how he did it, put really big dreams inside of me.
Yeah.
So even though I grew up in that small town, I never felt limited by that. You know what I mean? It was like, for him, it was almost like, your limitations are never going to be external. What happens externally, those are obstacles, but that doesn't mean that they have to inhibit and stop you from reaching your goals and your dreams. Your limitations are here.
Yeah.
So he would always tell me this one thing. He'd be like, well, he didn't say but he would say, keep a level head.
Yeah.
Keep a level head. It was always about this because he made me feel like this was my limitation. This was my only limitation. And I don't know how he did it, but Brandy, I felt like I could do whatever I wanted.
Yeah, even in that small town.
In that small town, I felt like I could do whatever I wanted. I remember one time he corrected, I'm not gonna say who it was, but he corrected a very close family member of mine to their face, in my face. Because I think at this point I was thinking about going to Morehouse. And because Morehouse was one of the schools I was considering going to. And I was thinking about going to Morehouse, and somebody, when I said it, somebody in the family was like, you can't go to Morehouse from this school. And those out-of-state fees, like, you're not gonna be able to go to Morehouse. He didn't pull them to the side. He didn't wait till later. He said right in front of me right there, he said, don't ever tell him what he can't do. And then looked at me and said, you can go wherever you want. And it was like, that was the end of the conversation.
Wow.
So yeah, I never felt limited by that small town.
Because you always had a bigger mindset.
Yeah, and I think I completely attribute that to my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it still plays into how you teach now about mindset, about shifting, about making that shift in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I think you are wherever your mind is.
You are wherever
your mind is. So like my body was in Kilmichael, Mississippi, and I was there in Kilmichael, Mississippi, but my mind was gone.
Far.
Yeah. And I just learned you go to the next level head first. If you can get your head out, then your money will come out, your career will come out, your relationships will come out. And so, you know, we've talked a little bit off camera about some of the stuff that I teach, and it's weird. You kind of messed me up a little bit because you're able, it was almost like you made little comments, and I felt like you were reading me a little bit.
You know what? I do tend to read people a little bit.
Okay,
but it's just a skill, and there's no harm.
Yeah. No,
it's really just I like to see people.
Yeah, I felt like you were reading me because I was like, yo, how does she know? She's like, yo, like you mentioned, like you use David and Goliath a lot. I was like, you know, I really do because I see myself. I've always seen myself as that guy.
But that's one of my favorite stories in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's one of the favorite allegories, and that because it shows us, so it reveals to us like the development of a person.
Sure.
A development of purpose along the way.
Yeah.
And we can go ahead and talk about that because that was actually one of the questions I want to get to. You talk about David and Goliath so much. Yeah. And one of the things in your series that you're currently in, you talked about how the most courageous thing for David was not the fight itself.
Yeah.
It was that when he looked Saul in the face and said, I can't wear what doesn't fit me.
Yeah. 100%.
Have you ever been wearing things that didn't fit you?
Yes, a lot. But the one that I feel like comes to my mind the most, that I feel like damaged me the most, was, and we talked a little bit about this off camera too, like the pastoral box. I felt like I kind of had to fit in because I got into this like really young. So I was going to law school. Then the second semester of my senior year, I decided not to and go to seminary. So I'm probably in my early 20s in seminary. And then I come out of seminary, I go right from undergrad to seminary, do that 3 years. And then a year after seminary, I planted church. So I'm in like my early 20s. All the pastors I knew were like older. They talked old. They wore suits all the time. They wore hats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like 26, like, what's up, Doc?
Right.
You know,
what
like,
up, though?
Yeah. And so it was like the box and the mold, and it became suffocating for me. It became emotionally unhealthy for me. It became unintentionally performative. Like you don't know you're performing, but you're performing because it's a caricature. It's like, this is what kind of people expect. I'm like, yo, I'm 26. I don't want to wear hard bottoms every day.
Every day.
Yeah. So
I want to be swaggy.
Yeah.
Like I want to show it a little bit.
Yeah, or comfortable. Right.
Yeah. Just be comfortable.
Yeah.
So wearing things that don't fit. 2014. You're finishing up a book, you're finishing up doctoral work.
Yes.
And you experienced an anxiety attack.
I did.
And you said you were living right, but not living well.
Yeah. So by that, this is what I mean. When I say living right and not living well, I was doing all of the stuff I was taught to do.
Yeah, you was doing all
with
that.
Church.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was managing my life ethically because it tells you to live right. So I'm managing, loving my wife, raising my kids. So I'm doing that part.
Yeah.
I'm doing all the spiritual disciplines they tell you to do, pray, study, read the Bible, all of those kinds of things. So I was living right ethically, but I wasn't living well. And what I mean by that, I wasn't living with boundaries. Right? And so I was overcommitting. I was passive aggressive and not assertive. So I was people pleasing. So when someone would ask me to do something, what I would think more about was the negative reaction I was going to get from them as opposed to the negative impact it was going to have on my life. So I would have a bad season of my life just so that other people wouldn't feel bad about me telling them no. And so all of that overcommitment, because you mentioned the things that I was doing. I was finishing a book, I was finishing doctoral work, I was trying to lead the church, trying to raise a young family, and I was traveling everywhere, speaking all of the time. And it just got to the point where my body and my mind just, I had never experienced that before. It just like shut down on me. It was like, yo, you're gonna have to take a break, or if not, the way you live in your life is gonna break you. And so that was like a rebirthing for me. Like the Dharius Daniels that came out of that season was a completely different Dharius Daniels.
How
that
so?
Forever altered me.
How so?
I want to frame this right, so like I don't say it the wrong way. But I saw, one of the first things I realized is that, my spiritual development alone is not enough.
No.
And that was like really a mindset shift for me. Does that make sense? It was like,
it totally does.
God is enough, but the stuff I'm learning in church is not enough. It's not enough.
You need some other tools.
I needed some other tools to live well. And once that happened, that's when I was like, you know what? I got a pastor. I need a coach.
Yeah.
I need
somebody
to help me navigate my life. Yep. I was like, I need a therapist because I need to figure out what's happened in my past that's driving this overcommitment.
Yeah.
I need a coach to help me navigate my future. And so I feel like I went from just living right to living well with boundaries. I dealt with the stuff in my past in terms of people pleasing. And so the transformation that I experienced with that coach is what motivated. It was almost like what this guy did for me, I want to do this for other people like me. So that's what kind of pushed me into the coaching space and made me start studying emotional intelligence and things of that particular nature because of what I went through.
Yeah. What pushback have you received? Because that's not, we often, because we're so used to playing a role, there are certain roles and certain expectations that people do have of us and certain things that we're not supposed to do because we have a level of spirituality, right?
Yeah.
So what type of pushback did you receive?
It's been two types of pushback.
Okay.
So one is kind of the pushback that kind of comes from people that are not in your immediate circle, right? Yeah. Not like close relationships per se. Just people who might have been accustomed to me doing stuff for them all the time, whether that was coming to speak or this, that, and the other.
Oh, the people who did not respect your boundaries.
Yeah. Or they were used to, or they just, the only version of Dharius that they knew was a Dharius who didn't have boundaries. And they loved that version. So the version of me that they loved was a version of me that I hated.
Yeah.
And so when I became a version of me that I loved, they had to kind of recalibrate the relationship and ask themselves, do you want a relationship with this Dharius?
Yeah.
So some of the pushback was kind of external. I got pushback definitely, probably more recently, when I started really diving deeper kind of into the entrepreneurial space. So that was like, I get a lot of pushback from that, which is the weirdest thing to me, right?
They don't want you to live.
They don't want you to do nothing. So it's like, okay, now wait a minute. So if I only pastor a church, you say I'm getting the church money, right?
Listen.
So if I'm like, okay, don't worry about the church money. I'm gonna go out here and get my money. It's like you need to be in the church. It's like wait a minute. This is
every
weird.
Turn is something.
Yeah. So I got that kind of pushback, but I think the most difficult, and this is something that anybody who makes a significant change in their life, they got to wrap their head around this. Sometimes the backlash you don't anticipate comes from people that are closer to you, whose lives are going to be the most disrupted by the change that you make.
Yeah.
So if you always giving. So if you're in a friendship and you always paying, then all of a sudden you set a boundary. It's like, I'm not paying anymore. Then
like, where you go?
People can take you advocating for you as attacking them. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with you, but this is not about you. This is about me. So I feel like I dealt with challenges like from the outside and from the inside a little bit.
People can take you advocating for you as an attack on them.
Yeah.
Did y'all write this down? That's a note. That's a note for y'all. I'm gonna go ahead. That's a note. Okay, so you talked about the coach, the importance of a coach and an advisor and the therapist and how those help to create that shift in your life. But you were very adamant that everybody needs 4 types of people in their lives.
Yes, I do.
4 types of people. 1 being a friend, 2 being an associate, and oftentimes we confuse those.
Yeah.
3 was an assignment.
It's like a mentee.
A mentee, people you're assigned to. And then 4 is the mentor and advisor.
That's right.
How have you been able to properly place people in your life since 2014?
I had to. I feel like for me, it was a necessity, because once I started making shifts, I began to see that there are certain people who were in my life who probably in this next season, a few people who were in my life who probably in this next season wouldn't be in my relational orbit as much. But then what I saw more of is like, no, you don't need to get off the bus of my life. You just need to change seats. And I can't keep waiting on you for you to get a revelation of what seat you need to be in that's best for me. So I need to kind of reposition you. And so I just I came up with those categories for my own life. Who's a friend? Who's an associate? Who's an assignment? Now, the assignment piece was really hard for me because in my space, you just feel like you're supposed to help everybody.
Everybody's your assignment.
Everybody's your assignment. Well, it's not true.
Yeah.
It's a messianic complex almost. But the point that I'm making is every need is not my responsibility. God's the one that can meet every need.
Every need.
He just wants me to meet the ones that I've got the capability of meeting. And so that was really difficult too, because there was a whole lot of people I was quote unquote mentoring that I didn't feel like assigned to. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if you want my help or my attention.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging that. I'm just saying in this season, I want people who are willing to steward the investment that I'm making and not just be enamored by my attention.
Yeah.
So I had to make some shifts there. And then, you got the advisor piece where I feel like this is what an advisor or a mentor does. They give you speed. Because mine can take what they learned in decades and they can give that to me in a day.
In days.
Yeah.
I love that you say that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That what they've learned in decades, they can give it to you in a day.
100%.
Yeah. Informal or formal. You said that. Informal.
That's right.
Or formal. They can have a degree or not, right?
100%.
Yeah. They don't have to have the paper.
I got all these degrees. I don't know if any of my coaches have degrees. Their life was better than mine. Their money was better than mine. Their business was better than mine.
And you had all the stuff.
I had all the stuff. That's so many degrees. I was a thermometer. It was interesting. But yeah.
So in your role, how hard is it for you to determine the difference between a friend and an associate?
It's not as hard now. I think it was a little harder earlier on. I just feel like I'm more relationally intelligent now, in the sense that I feel like in the past I used to have relationships with people based on their potential, not on their fruit.
Okay, rewind, run it back, hold up, flag on the play. You was in relationship with people based on their potential and not their fruit.
Not their fruit, yeah. And so potential meaning, this person can be this person can be that, and not realizing and recognizing that just because they can be doesn't mean that they will be.
Ooh.
And when it comes to potential, you want to like encourage people to reach it, but you want to relate to them based on the fruit that they're showing you, like a tree by the fruit that it bears. So I think I struggled with that early on, accepting the fruit that I was seeing and then relating to people accordingly. So now in my life, I just realized that knowing a tree by the fruit it bears isn't judging the tree. I'm not judging your fruit.
Yeah.
I am assessing whether or not that fruit is safe for me.
For me, exactly.
In this season. Yeah. So it's like, it might not be anything wrong with oranges, but if I'm allergic to oranges,
baby,
it's like, it's bad for me. Yeah. And so I feel like I've kind of reframed it that way in my own head. So it makes it easier for me. It's a lot easier for me to pivot and to reposition people. It's scary how quick I can pivot and reposition people now.
For other people, it's scary. I don't think it's scary for you.
Yeah, it's not scary for me
Yeah,
at
it's
all.
not scary for you.
So for me, it's scary if I don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you go back to a place that you don't want to be in anymore.
Yeah, I go back to 2014.
14. Yeah.
I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
I know what that feels like. And I know you probably heard me say this before. 2014 is what taught me you can have a high standard of living and a low quality of life.
Yeah.
Because I was in home in New Jersey, and it was a nice home and nice bed and all that other kind of stuff. None of that mattered when that anxiety attack hit me. Yeah, none of that prevented. None of that prevented that. It's just one of those things where it's like, as much as it's possible on my part, I refuse to go back there.
Yeah, because we think once we get all the stuff, it's going to change everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah, because this is stuff people can't see. This is stuff people can't see. All right, so you talk about choices a lot. You talk about the quality of your choices, the quality of your life, and this is direct correlation. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your choices. You said something very recently, God will let you live on whatever level you settle for.
Yeah.
God is not a respecter of persons, but of choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's really tough, you know what I mean, for people to hear, but it's something that that is just a strong conviction of mine, and that is God loves you too much to force you to do anything, even if the thing that you choose is less than what he chooses for you. And I think for a person to wrap their head around that, they got to understand, like, yo, love doesn't force.
No.
Love doesn't remove choice.
Yeah.
If I got to remove my wife's choice to love me, I don't know what kind of love that is. You know what I mean? Like, she needs to be able to freely choose to love me.
Because love is freedom.
Exactly.
There's freedom in love.
Yeah. And so God's like, hey, you can you can reach this potential, you can advance in this way, but I love you too much to take choice away from you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you live on whatever level you settle for. And I think so many people are settling for less than God's best for them.
How do the distractions show up? How do distractions, because most of our choices are because we're distracted by something.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have said very recently in your series that distractions often show up looking like opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah, they look like opportunity. It looked like the thing you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. The distraction looked tall, dark, and handsome. You know,
If that's what you
usually
like.
how my distractions show up. They show up fit and fine. Okay.
100%. Yeah. Like, distractions don't initially look like distractions for a lot of people. You know, they show up looking like opportunities, and by that it could be like relational opportunities, like what you just mentioned. It could be professional opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Like, a good door isn't always a God door. It could be it could show up in problems that you are not responsible for, but you feel responsible for. So the people who cause those problems are being irresponsible, and they happy, but you're taking responsibility for their irresponsibility. So they irresponsible, happy. You're responsible and miserable. That's a distraction.
Because now they got a whole emergency that they're calling you for that they can't call nobody else for.
So now you stopping what you're doing.
Yeah.
Overcommitted. So those are some things that I just feel like are distractions that can steal our time, our mental energy, mental real estate, and keep us from investing into the right things. And so as a result, we end up majoring in the minor and minoring in the major.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you been able to recognize your distractions quicker?
I don't know how to answer that without, like, my only answer for that is a spiritual answer.
Okay.
Give
us that answer.
Yeah, my only answer for that is a spiritual
one.
answer. Because recently I was talking about decisions and how all decisions aren't black and white.
There's some
Good,
gray.
bad. There's some gray decisions.
It's a sixth sense. I've been listening to the series.
Okay, you own it. Yeah, you own it. Exactly. So, like, there are times when it's like I'm looking at something like, this could go really good, this could go really bad, or this could. Sometimes the options are not good, bad. Sometimes the options are good, good.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, in those situations, I'm trusting that God is going to influence my intuition and give me some sort of hunch in terms of what direction to go, so that I can avoid distractions. You know what I mean? That kind of detour me from my destiny. And so at this point, I've also lived long enough to know what it feels like to go through the wrong door.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo,
I don't want to go through a wrong door again.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through a wrong door. So for you, going through the wrong door has come with you learning that there's a rhythm to your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about the rhythm and that you're not at the mercy of a bad morning. You're never at the mercy of a bad morning.
Yeah. You know, so I think when I came out of 2014, when I had that experience, and it took me a couple of years, I feel like, to kind of get my footing. You know what I mean?
It takes us a while.
Yeah. It took me a couple of years before I felt like, okay, I'm in a new normal now. But I feel like when I came out of that, I overreacted. Does it make sense? And I was just like super regimented. It's like Monday at 9 is this, Monday at 10 is this, Monday at Wednesday is this. And that felt like prison. It didn't feel like freedom.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of an ambivert, so people who...
What?
So it's like a mixture of an introvert and extrovert.
Oh, okay.
So it's
I was
like,
today years old. Look at me learning
Yeah. So it's like, I love being with people. I just have a time limit where I have to go and isolate. And then once I recharge, I'm bored by myself and I want to go be with people.
Yeah, that's me.
So it's weird.
Then I'm a what? What am I?
Ambivert.
Ambivert.
Yeah.
That's good. Look at that.
Yeah. You're like, leave me alone. Okay, come back. I'm ready now. I'm ready. So people can just really think I'm just like super regimented by nature. And it's like, man, I'm the type, I want to wake up and be like, what do you want to do today? Whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like that's my ideal situation. So I feel like I overreacted. I was so regimented that it just felt like restriction and prison, and it sucked the joy out of my life. It wasn't authentic for me. So I said, you know what? I need to move from a regiment. And one of my coach helped me with this. He's like, you got to move from a regiment to a rhythm.
Yeah,
a rhythm. So
I love that.
And so that's kind of, we call it sacred rhythms. So my rhythm isn't sacred, but my rhythm protects the things that are sacred to me. So my relationship with God is sacred. My relationship with my family is sacred to me. And so the rhythm of life, like, okay, it's not every hour of the day mapped out, you know what I mean? But it is a rest, work rhythm. It's like juggling all the responsibilities. It's like, okay, every ball is not in my hand at the same time, but nothing goes too long without being touched. Yeah. So
I love that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean when I say rhythm.
So you said that faith, your relationship with your family, but also fitness is a part of the rhythm in your life.
Huge.
Yeah. Why?
Huge. So one has got like physical benefits, right? For me, it's almost a little therapeutic too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's that I feel like that's part of it. And then so it's physical, it's emotional, then there's also a spiritual component for me. And so I'm not saying it has to be this way for everybody, but for me, there's a spiritual component. Everything God's gonna do in my life will require the use of this body.
Come on now, church. Let me take that. Give me something. Let me do something. Yeah, look. Because I truly believe that.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. We got one body.
Yeah.
One body. And I'm here to use this one.
Yes.
For the betterment.
100%.
For the good. And so I love that. I told you before we started, I said, part of what intrigued me was that fitness was such an important part of your life and you embody it.
Yeah.
And I say that because when we stand in front of especially our people, right? I mean, people of color, Black people in particular, all the things that affect us.
Yeah.
And you're in a leadership position.
Sure.
You're an example.
Yeah.
You're an example.
Brandon, I'm getting ready to say something. I have never said this in a public setting before.
Okay. We here for it.
We are here. So let's go here.
Now,
yes.
So what's up?
This is another reason I've never said it out loud. Is because I grew up in church, right? And there was always, this is not everybody's experience, mine, such a disproportionate number of women and men.
Yes. Yes.
Got me?
I grew up Baptist all the way.
Okay, yeah. So it was like
church all day, every day.
It was like, yeah. And I would see it. I'm not gonna say specifically, but I would see, like, when I was growing up, other religious movements where the men were put together. They were disciplined, they were well spoken, they were well dressed. And I, as a young man, admired that.
Absolutely.
and was drawn at least to that part of what I saw more than what I was seeing in spaces, in Christian spaces.
Yeah.
And that triggered something for me that I say, yo, when I'm a spiritual leader, I want to stand up and I want to look like discipline.
Yeah.
I want to have the impact on men that other group had on me, and I don't see this happening regularly in Christian spaces.
Yes.
So I've never said that out loud, and I do think, like, I've got this group now that I'm taking through, we call them Made Men. So it's a 12-session basic training program that we take them through, and it's rigorous. You can only miss one. You miss more than one, you're out. And it's really comprehensive development. It's finances, it's health, it's creating a mission statement for your family, a financial vision statement for your financial future, all these kinds of things. We had over 2,000 men sign up for this program. And when it's all said and done, we'll probably run 1,000, 1,500 off. We'll probably finish with about 500.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not saying it's the only reason, but I see the fruit of our influence with men.
Yes. Yes.
In our ministries, in our companies, and in all of these things that we're doing. And I believe that at least my attempt to be disciplined in that area and present something respectable to them has something to do with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite books is A Course in Miracles. And I love that because if you get nothing else of the book, it says we are called to be demonstrators.
Huge.
We're called to be demonstrators.
Yeah.
And so when people
I'm taking that one too now.
I'm giving you all the stuff.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to be in the
all
sermon
right.
on
So,
Sunday.
yes, so I am a receipt. I'm taking that one and then demonstrators. Okay.
But that's really where the receipt comes from. You know, when you break it down in layman's terms, to be a demonstrator, I got the receipts.
Yeah.
And that's how we are supposed to look.
Yeah.
We are supposed to look like the embodiment of God on the planet.
Yeah.
And so because of that, the discipline that we have in our lives, it shows up on us. We wear it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I love that. And I think that more people have to take that charge, especially with the responsibility of pastoring multi-regional, multiple churches, you know, all the multi stuff you do, you know?
Complicated.
Yeah. So then what's your favorite thing to train? Since I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with that question now.
Well, my least favorite thing to train, you already know this, is every man's least favorite thing to train is legs. Listen, I need somebody to lay hands on me doing legs. But I probably, this is weird, I probably like shoulders, training shoulders the best now, like recently.
Yeah.
I think early on, every man want to train chest.
Right. Listen.
But now that I see what the shoulders do aesthetically, and the way it makes the frame,
all your clothes lay better, guys. You know this?
Yeah, traps and all that. So now I'm on the shoulders thing.
Listen, so I'm excited about that because I go to another church in Atlanta with Pastor Jamal Bryant, who's a friend of yours, and that is part of, you know, I think the responsibility that he's put on his own congregation about fitness. And I think that with more people, more men in your position to do that, I think it creates that domino effect for so many people in our community, because then they start to see, well, if he can do it, I can do it.
Facts.
Well, let me try to, you know, let me work shows. Somebody's going to be out here working shoulders today. I already feel it in my spirit. Okay. So we're coming up to the end. We want you guys to make sure you are subscribing to the Vault Village. Make sure you are subscribing, turn on your notifications so you do not miss anything that we have coming up. So we're going to do some off the beaten path questions.
Okay.
So our audience always loves to know what people are reading. So you can either say what you're reading or a book that's changed your life and why.
Yeah. So I'm going to say a book that changed my life was a book called, and one of my mentors gave it to me, High Performance Habits.
High Performance Habits.
Yeah, it's a book by a guy named Brendan Burchard, and he talks about the 6 habits of people that are high performers. And for him, that's not just people who have high standard of living, it's people who have a high quality of life, who are not just reaching their financial and professional goals, but they're reaching their emotional goals too, like the goals they have for their souls. So that was a book that just kind of revolutionized my life in terms of the power of habit and the power of certain habits. Yep, high performance habits.
Okay, so a living person you want to have dinner with?
See, I got to think about the living now. The dead, it would be Miles Monroe.
Miles Monroe.
It would be Miles Monroe, of someone who's passed on. Living, let me see. This is about to be really weird for a pastor to say who I'm about to say.
No, it's not. And
Okay.
I want you to, we are not dealing in the weird of anything.
Yeah, I would want to have dinner with Jay-Z.
Yes. First of all, what they talk about, $500,000 or dinner with Jay-Z, which one would you do? I'm doing dinner with Jay-Z.
I'm doing, yeah, because the questions I'm gonna ask, I'm gonna get the money. Right? After that dinner, I'm gonna go get the money. Yeah. But it would definitely be Jay-Z, and I want to talk to him about two things primarily. One, about long-term relevance, because he's been in the game a
long time.
Yeah, he is still like he
Very
could tour
relevant.
today if he wanted to, right?
Just did a show in Paris.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So long-term relevance, because I want to be impacting people a long time. And then the second, I would want him to share with me, like, yo, okay, I need to know the top 3 things you learned in business.
Yeah.
The rooms he's been in, the shoulders that he's had the opportunity to rub. What are the top 3 things that you've learned, so I could take that and kind of apply that to my life and my companies?
I love that. I don't think that that's weird for a pastor, though.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, some people might think so, but that's my answer.
I don't think it's weird.
Yeah.
I think high level people want to sit down with high level people no matter what genre they're in.
That's true. Yeah.
You know? All right. So what advice, and I feel like I might, be tapped in on this one. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
I couldn't afford it at 20. One thing I'll tell myself is get a therapist and get a coach.
Yeah.
I would have said that proactively.
I felt like you were going there.
Yeah. So that way, if I could afford it, my 20-year-old self could not afford that though. But besides that, I would probably tell myself, I'll be like, Dharius, pace yourself. You're going to get there.
Yeah.
And if you pace yourself, you're going to get there. You're going to reach your goal without destroying your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can get there without a 2014 experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't start talking about that until recently. Like what happened to me in 2014.
I saw that.
Yeah, so it took years before I went public with that.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, other people need to hear this that have gone through it, and I want other people to hear it so that they don't have to go through that.
But that's the thing that made me want to sit down with you even more, was because of the 2014 when I saw you talking about that.
Wow.
Because I feel as though your position has afforded you the opportunity to share how you got to it, and because you're here, I want to know how, because I know it wasn't easy.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't easy.
No, it's insightful.
Yeah, you've experienced some things. All right, so biggest lesson from the past that helped you shape your present?
Life is a cycle of seasons.
Life is a cycle of seasons.
Life is a cycle of seasons. So it helps me, like what my dad would say, keep a level head. I'm not too high on the highs. I'm not too low on the lows, because life is a cycle of seasons. Yeah.
Everything must change.
Yeah.
Very Ecclesiastes, right?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. All right. So one daily affirmation you live by. One daily affirmation. And I said this because you talked about this in a podcast pretty recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick one out of the few that I do every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wake up and I do a few every day. One is I'm grateful that I have a 1% marriage.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I've got a 1% body. Like I want to be in the 1% of people my age in terms of their fitness. I'm grateful that I lead a 5-star church and 5-star companies. So those are 3. They're actually like 5 affirmations that I got in my notes app, and I just wake up and I'm gonna feed myself them every day. Yeah.
Why is it important? I know sometimes when we look at, especially people who come from the Christian faith and church, affirmations, we kind of run away from
affirmations.
But you talked about why you affirm.
Yeah, I actually got it from the Bible. You know what I mean? Like people are like, the power of life and death is in the tongue, and they that love it that shall eat the fruit thereof. So like, you're gonna internalize, eat the fruit. You're gonna internalize in some way the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Secondly, nobody talks to you more than you. Right? Nobody talks to you throughout the day more than you. So like, what are you saying to yourself? And would you tolerate anybody else talking to you the way that you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
And faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. And so I believe God wants his best for me. And so those kind of things are me fleshing out, like this is what I'm expressing faith for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what I'm believing for. So I'm putting words that I actually got it from the Bible. It's weird that people...
But this is why you teach a Bible U course, so you can learn how to interpret.
Yeah.
Listen, because listen, folks just out here making stuff up.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna go. We passed you the aux cord. What we listening to? We passed you the aux cord. You in the car.
All right, so you're gonna
not no James Cleveland.
Now it's gonna be a mixture though.
No,
it's a mixture. It's gonna be a mixture. So it's gonna be it's gonna be some Maverick City.
Okay,
right. Some Maverick City, some Todd Galbraith. It's gonna be 90s R&B.
Okay. Give me an artist, 90s R&B.
It's not even gonna be like Usher would be an artist, but it's 90s. It's groups.
Okay.
Brandy, it's groups. It's Jodeci.
It's
Come on.
It's a little
I can go back.
It's a little tell me what you want.
Yes, it's Jodeci. It's Drew Hill. I can go all the way back to Backstreet, on Black Street, and H-Town. I can go all the way back to the 80s. There. So it's gonna be groups. So some 90s R&B. And if it's rap, for the most part, it's probably gonna be 90s rap too.
Okay,
it's gonna
Jay-Z.
be a little Tupac.
Okay, a little Tupac.
Jay-Z. I'll go in the 2000s. Tip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff now, I'm sure is great. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, some of it's a
little different. Yeah.
I know. I find myself when I'm like in my playlist, I be trying to do a lot of the new stuff, you know, but I always revert back to that 90s vibe. Yeah. Always revert back.
Not like Lil Baby. I can get with Lil Baby.
Oh, no, let me tell you. I like a Lil Baby. I like a little Dub Baby. I like a little Yo Gotti.
Okay.
Put a Gucci Mane on when I'm in the gym.
Yeah.
You know,
Jeezy. I'm definitely a Jeezy guy.
Definitely Jeezy. Yeah. So we gonna hear it all. All right. Vacation home: beach, mountain, or desert?
See, I can't. It's got to be the beach and the mountain. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be the beach with the mountains.
Okay.
Like we were in St. Martin recently, and we literally had that.
Yeah, I was in Cabo this weekend. That's what you get. Yeah. If
I had to choose between the two, though, I'm gonna choose the beach.
You're gonna choose
the beach. It's the water for me.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get in it. But it's the vibe. I'm gonna get in it.
You're not jumping in.
I'm not getting in it.
You want black people afraid to swim?
No, I actually swim. It's just weird. I just like water.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like the house I'm in now, I think I've been in the house since March, like 2021. I got in that pool twice, maybe.
Okay. You just like to look at it.
I like to look at it. I'll sit by it and all of that. Yeah.
That's it. I feel you. That's my sister. All right. So last question. What are you committed to right now?
This may sound a little selfish. No, I don't feel like this is selfish at all. I am committed to right now the things I feel most assigned to. Mm-hmm. And those are really just a few things. So my family first, our church second, and like our company's third. I'm pretty much obsessed with those things right now in this season. And it feels great. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel focused, I feel clear. But those are the things right now. You say, Dharius, those are the things I'm locked into in that order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're committed to your family.
Family first. The church second, company's third. And the church second because of the spiritual fulfillment I get out of it. Because it's my companies that financially are, for the most part, providing for my family and I. But fulfillment is the highest form of compensation. Mm-hmm. So don't get me wrong, the finances are important, but the fulfillment that I get knowing I'm living out my calling is something that is priceless.
Yeah.
And I kind of think some of the stuff that's happening in business is because of my faithfulness to the church. I believe that. So whether it's true or not, I believe it. And so I'm gonna keep
doing what I'm doing. Listen, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. But I think so often, what intrigues me the most about your journey and watching you for the short time that I've watched you has been, and I told you this before we sat down, you know, you bring this essence of lifestyle into the pulpit. You know, that you don't make it it's not one note, you know, and oftentimes when we look at pastors, and oftentimes people are afraid to talk to pastors because they feel like it's just going to be the same old one note, child, I don't want to hear it, and God said, and won't he do it? Yes, he will, you know, cue the organ. I think what you've been able to do is bring in what a total lifestyle of faith looks like.
Wow. I've never heard it framed that way. You didn't say it that way earlier.
I didn't.
But no, that is.
The camera's rolling.
I see.
Yeah, a lifestyle of faith. I think faithfulness to different things, right? Faithfulness to the fitness.
Yeah.
Faithfulness to your marriage. Faithfulness to your family. Faithfulness to the church. Faithfulness to your calling.
Yeah.
Faithfulness and what it looks like. It encompasses what I see.
That's powerful. No, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's a bar.
It's a bar.
That's a bar.
You know, it's not to put any pressure, right? I think oftentimes, even in our conversation, you know, there's a bit of guardedness that most pastors carry.
Yeah.
And you have to, because it's a mean, cruel world out
100%.
in the church.
Yeah. You're going to pick those battles. You're going to have them. Yeah, you're going to pick them wisely.
It's a mean, cruel world up there.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that it can also feel very daunting at times, you know, because there's so much pressure.
Yeah.
But you talk a lot about pressure and promotion.
Well, I've shared this obviously in smaller settings, but I hadn't shared it publicly. I feel like for me, the stuff I'm doing in the coaching space is so necessary because the appetite for what you talk about doesn't always exist in the church.
It doesn't.
So in these other spaces, you're kind of able to pull out the hungry who actually want more.
Yeah.
And then that kind of unlocks more stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it would be really, really troublesome for me if all I could do was preach sermons.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, and I know we all need to be kind of inspired, but it's almost like, I just can't. I know it takes more than that to change it. It takes more than what I'm giving you on Sunday to actually change your life.
It does. And I think that's the part that I really want people to be charged with when they stand in pulpits.
Yeah.
Is that, are you willing to pull back the layer and go a little bit deeper?
Yeah.
Because so many people sit in a pulpit and they are just looking to, one, be entertained.
Yeah.
They want to know Wednesday part they're going to jump in. Ain't got to want to do it all the time. Ain't got to go all the time. They looking for, when do I get to jump in with the part I know? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I think sometimes people are just sitting there just waiting for the part that they know.
Yeah.
And I can tell when you're in your sermons that when you tap into the stuff that people really don't know, or they haven't really, we ain't really talked about that before, especially when we start talking about the tools and the therapy and the boundaries and the people pleasing and some of that language that we use for people who've gone to therapy, it's a little off-putting. So they're like, I don't know, how do I respond to that?
Yeah, right. I don't jump up.
Do I jump up? Or are they going to clap? What do I do? And so I think that that's the line that's so hard to walk, in the role that you play, you know. I thought that I was, I thought I got a calling to go to seminary. And I was like, I'm going to be a preacher. And I applied to Candler because this is like I'm the most cussing, drinking, talking crap. Like I am that girl. Okay, so I was like, y'all don't know if I'm a fit. I literally went to the orientation at Candler in like over the knee boots, like you know what I'm saying. Like they were like, you're coming here, yeah, hey girl, you know. So I thought I had this calling. And as I deferred admissions 3 times, 3 times to Candler. I was like, oh, I think I'm ready. I'm not ready. I think I'm ready. I'm not ready. But all because of the line that I feel is so hard to walk.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am never going to be able to fit into that box.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so hard for me not to be myself. But what I've realized, and I think you really do a great job at embodying this, is that you show that it's okay to be just who you are and who you've been called to be in this season. For this season.
Yeah, yeah.
It may not be for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Right.
You know, it may just be for a season. And so I just really want to express that to you.
No, thank you for sharing that. I'm honored by that. I'm honored by that. I'm encouraged by that. I am just aware of the consequences of not being authentically you.
Yeah.
So it's not that sometimes walking that line isn't a bit scary. It's just I'm more afraid not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm more afraid of going backwards. And so it's like for me, and I'm just kind of at the point, I want to say this as tactful as I can. I'm just kind of at the point where I don't care as much. You know? In terms of I care. Like, I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but like in terms of people's opinions, and I don't know if it's age, I don't know if it's experience, I don't know what it is. It's just like, I really don't care. You have a right to, a person has a right to have an opinion. I have a right to determine how much value I assign to your opinion.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so I can respect you as a person made in the image of God and have no respect for your opinion whatsoever. And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
And so I just feel like, I don't know, I don't care as much, and it's so freeing.
Yeah, so freeing.
Yeah.
So look, we want to make sure that you are subscribed to Vault Empowers. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. And as we close out, I want you to give us some final words. It can be to a person who feels like they have not really embodied their calling. Maybe they are still people pleasing. They haven't found a way to set a boundary. What piece of advice, what final thought would you give those people?
I would say you cannot live your best life until you're willing to become your best self. And you can't be your best self pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
That's it.
You cannot be your best self pretending to be someone else.
Can't do it.
Well, look, it has been a pleasure to sit down and talk with you.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. You guys, this is such good stuff. I hope you were taking notes, but make sure you are subscribed to Vault Empowers. And we will be sure to keep you posted on who's coming next, because we got some good folks coming on the show. But thank you so much to Dr. Dharius Daniels for sharing your time, your wisdom with us on Vault Empowers. Until next time, y'all, we hope y'all just eat well, give a damn, and move your body every single day. Until next time, peace.